Oh, thanks. Yes. To me, I'm just like I should either be like doing a podcast for you or selling you a piano.
No, I was gonna say Eck looks like he's in the road crew of Guys and Dolls.
I was gonna say he looks like either an usher or like he's in like an a cappella group.
I don't know. I like that. I like the a cappella thing. Later, I'll be performing for you all.
Yes, he's a member of the Manhattan Transfer.
Jay-Z that I've put together. Kind of a cool version. So I got this. This came.
Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't that cool?
Is that Wayne Stevenson? Cool.
This is Wayne Stevenson's mask. Yep.
I need like a Chico Resch or Billy Smith.
I know they have some great ones. I was noticing the other day on the show Breakfast on Broad in Philly, which plays which our friend Sarah is the host of.
Sarah Baker. Yeah.
Sarah Baker. They actually had this exact mask on the wall behind them.
That mask cool. looks like immense. It looks like it's like double the size of your head.
It doesn't. No, I mean, yeah, it's hard to.
Don't do it. You'll mess up your hair. Oh, he did it.
Really? No, it's not on my head yet.
You should do the whole show that way. You look like a Mexican wrestler.
Yeah.
He's a member of the Luchadors.
Rey Mysterio.
From first perspective, I can make it look enormous. Look how big this is. But anyway, no.
I'm not touching that one.
Yeah. So we're going to put this right there. It's pretty good software. A little unnerving, looking at me. All right, 1 second.
Staring at you.
Yes, staring at me. Let's move this over here. All right, well, that's fine. No, so I have more of them coming. I'm going to tell you guys all about the company that makes them. It's really cool. They do everything. What I really was impressed by was this part. Like I forgot that in the beginning, before they had like the hang down plastic, they would actually just have these additions put onto these masks, make it longer to protect your throat more. I mean, they say this is not to be used for ice hockey, obviously.
Yeah.
But they call it a roller hockey mask. But you could definitely
see the hanging.
I wouldn't use that for roller hockey either.
No, I mean if you're playing serious ice hockey, no. But if I was playing like if I was just screwing around like with the media people at like a media game, I would come out with this mask and then like just freak everybody out and then change it later.
Yeah, because nobody in the media is going to get the puck off the ice, right?
Well,
no, that's not true.
That's not true, unfortunately.
Not true. Eck, what I was going to say is that came from baseball, though, the hanging thing. It was a catcher named Steve Yeager. He got a piece of bat caught in his throat, and in a game. And so after that, he created it. Actually, it was saying sometimes players create these things, and so he made his own.
Cool. That's really cool.
What's weird is that sort of the cross pollination between baseball catchers.
Baseball and catchers masks. I know over the years.
Well, no, but then a few years ago, the goalie style catcher's masks came out, so it was like they're both influenced.
Well, as a person who played both positions, that was both were my positions in Little League and hockey. I mean, I always wondered why they didn't wear. I used to actually sometimes try to wear a catcher's mask. I mean, if you remember catcher's masks, the original catcher's masks were really crude.
Yeah, they just had wire and they just
a couple bars. I mean, it was not. It was fine for a baseball. The baseball wasn't going to fit through there. But remember that feeling of like that big foam thing on your chin and on your forehead?
Yeah. That's why you're going to be a special kind of kid to play catcher.
Yeah, I wasn't dumb enough to play either of those positions.
I said I didn't want to go there, but Dan.
You gotta be a lunatic to play those positions.
Well, and the thing was, catchers, like say in the
especially
50s,
baseball catcher.
Catchers in the 50s and 60s had to be as daring as the goaltenders without a mask because they were just wearing that thing. Nothing on. They were using their baseball cap, regular cap, backwards.
Right.
Like a foul tip, it's right off of your cranium. So that's nuts.
Yeah, no, that's true. So I got a really funny story for you guys. I went down to Margate this weekend. It was a beautiful weekend, so we decided to take our place down to Margate. We never go down in before May usually. So, but we went down there. It was fantastic. So. There's a CVS there, and I am going to buy some tennis balls to throw to the dogs on the beach. We wanted to throw the dogs on the beach, and so I'm there buying tennis balls, and I'm walking through the line, and this woman behind the counter, very attractive, good-looking woman in Margate, young, like surprisingly young. Most people that work in Margate are like seniors who seem to live down there and work these tire jobs. She smiled at me, and I'm like, wow, I got it going on, it must be how cool I am. I'm thinking, this is pretty cool. So she smiled at me as I walked through, and I'm like third in line. I get closer, I'm like, hey, how you doing? She's like, I know you. You're the guy with that show that had Rust the Chicken on it. No joke. This is what happens.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
I know, and I'm like, oh yeah. No, she's like, I'm kidding. I know you're the hockey show. We watch it every day. My friends, I'm like, oh, that's cool.
After 2 years of painstakingly doing shows 5 days a week, giving people great hockey content, we're going to be known as the show that friggin' gave him Rust the Chicken.
Brought Rust the Chicken to life.
From the people that brought you Rust the Chicken this summer.
Hockey Buzz.
Dan the Duck.
I know. So I decided that all of us should just go to puppets.
I was thinking Dingo, but that's okay.
And Mike the Moose.
I don't think we all have the ability to be puppeteers, but you do.
No. Yeah, X sold that big time.
I know what you're talking about. I was upstairs. I was locked out by this chicken, and I come back down, and I'm like, I couldn't get down here. But yeah, I appreciate. No, Rust the Chicken was very, very, very popular apparently, and popular among the young people watching the show. So we appreciate that.
We changed the demographic.
We did. We maybe
from 74 to like 36.
And she asked me when Rust the Chicken's next appearance would be, and I said, it's hard to say. Negotiations are underway.
When we visit the Anchor Bar.
Yeah, right. No, not live. The negotiations are underway. I said perhaps when we predict the next round of the playoffs, Rust the Chicken could reach.
Yeah, I think next round. I think we can bring him in then.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get Rust the Chicken on my podcast, but he hasn't returned my calls.
He'll come anytime. Yeah. Has he not returned any of your tweets?
No.
All right, yeah, you should. You can follow him.
Or chirps or clucks.
Right, you can follow him at Rust the Chicken, by the way, on YouTube. I mean, on Twitter. I don't know why you would follow him on YouTube. At Rust the Chicken. All right, let's start the show here. It's the 18th of April.
Lots of chicken porn.
That's right. Hello, Hockey World. It's Monday, April 18th, 2016.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Dan Petru.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm Eklund, and you're watching the HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that comes to you every Monday through Friday around this time to fill you in on the comings and goings of your favorite sport, professional ice hockey. And today we're being joined by the as I call it, the Dream Crew. We have Russ, Dan, and Mike in line here. And first I want to touch base because Russ, you just jetted in for this show.
I did.
And you were in North Carolina.
My arms are tired too. I just flew out. My arms are tired.
Yeah, North Carolina, North Dakota. If you were in North Carolina for the under 18s, you would have been in trouble. You were in North Dakota for the under 18s, and what was it like? Tell us about what happened.
Well, yeah, the Ralph Engel State Arena is really unbelievable. I mean, this place has marble on the floor. It's got luxury suites that are as good as the Wells Fargo Center or any place in the NHL. It's really just an amazing rink. And so, the under 18s are there. There's a lot of games. They're going to go on through next week. And I only caught the very beginning of it. They'll take a break, I think, on Thursday, and then the finals will be sometime next weekend. I didn't get to see Puljujarvi live because he literally just pulled in yesterday. So, because sometimes, when their team ends and then they got to get their stuff together and, get everything in order, paperwork. So he'll be playing. Maybe we'll get to see him against the United States on the NHL Network. They're doing a good job of showing it. But there's a lot of great kids. And I got to say that Russian team is really doing all they can. I give them credit. They're not winning games, but they're in games. And considering what they were up against, I really give those kids a lot of credit. But there's a lot of 2017 talent. That's the amazing thing. We're seeing 2016 guys, and there's a fair amount, but we're seeing maybe 2017 superstars in this.
Are we looking at like a super draft 2 years from now, you think? Or is it a big-time draft in 2017, you think?
Yeah, it seems that way because, Nolan Patrick's not there because he's still playing in the OHL playoffs. He could go number one, but there's a kid whose name I can't even pronounce for Sweden. He's a defenseman who could likely go number two. There's a kid Kostin from Russia. There's a lot of kids. There's a Finnish kid. And so I could already tell you just from this, these 4 days, 4 or 5 guys from 2017, just from that tournament. Then I've got a list with a couple others that aren't in the tournament. So, yeah, that's shaping up pretty well.
Oh, that's really great. I've heard nothing but great things about that arena, and it's good to hear more about it. It's one of those places that you just want a reason to have to go to it. It's North Dakota, so it's not like you're going to head out there. Oh, I just happened to be in town, and
yeah. Well, you run into a lot of scouts, and I haven't run into anybody from the Flyers, but they do have a suite there, and I saw a bunch of guys in it, but I didn't want to barge in on them.
So is that kind of what teams are doing? They're like grabbing suites type thing?
Well, some of them grab suites and some don't, and it's kind of funny that teams like the Flyers, Rangers, I would say the Blackhawks, the big budget teams are grabbing the suites, and then you don't see everybody with a suite. I'll just put it that way. But they do have staffs there, and they are in other areas.
So Arizona was working the concession stand.
I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah.
But everybody's there scouting these kids. That's the main thing, because this is unless you get the Austin Matthews will play in the World Championships, and you'll get Line will probably play in the World Championships, and maybe even Pariarvi will. There won't be that many kids in the World Championships, so this is your last chance to get a look at kids that not only are first rounders, but second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth rounders.
That's interesting. And for those of you who don't know what Russ was talking about, there is the U18 team didn't go to the U18 tournament for Russia. They brought the U17 team because of the doping issues and stuff like that.
Well, it's funny, and I mentioned this to Russ when we talked over the weekend, was the fact that it's surprising that the Russians, this is basically the U17 team with a few players added on, how well they've done. You almost get the impression that they knew that the U18 team wasn't that good, and maybe they used this as an excuse, and they brought this U17 team because it would actually fare better than the U18 team.
And it's possible, but the only thing is they waited so long that literally these kids only had 4 days notice.
Right.
And so that's the part that makes me think it wasn't that. But maybe they just, you never know. It's Russia. You just never know. But the kids are enduring, and that's really the big thing is, the CHL guys, Kuznetsov and Sergachev, they're going to get drafted. You don't worry about them. But, but those other kids, they really, they're pumped up to be there, and it doesn't seem like the tournament's too big for them, and that's good.
Is this another Kuznetsov?
Yes, this is a different one. He has no relation to Evgeny. To Sergey.
Right. Wow, that's something. Yeah. So all right. Well, that sounds great. We'll definitely be following the rest of the tournament.
And I wrote a bunch of articles on Sportsology. There'll be 2 or 3 on CSN Philly, and then I'll probably have 1 or 2 more on Sportsology.
Excellent. We'll definitely check them out, guys. Sportsology.com. That's where you can go to find Russ all the time if you're looking for more Russ. That's where Russ is.
Russ the Chicken's not there, though. I don't allow him to write.
No. He's actually has a bone to pick with you. But anyway, he'll talk to you later. So let's get into the playoffs. Let's start with let's go to the New York teams to begin with here, because we have the Rangers. Let's start with the Rangers and Penguins. And actually, since Russ has been talking for a while, let's give you a break. Let's go to the Islanders first. We'll start with the Islanders, Dan. This turns out to be maybe the most entertaining. If you like scoring, this is your series. This is back and forth and back and forth, and man, the Islanders. Like we talked about down the stretch, that this team has this incredible ability to come from behind. They are definitely a come from behind team. And what are your thoughts so far, Dan?
Well, it's last night was pretty crazy, and with the overturned goal, obviously was the turning point in the game, but they still fell behind after 2 goals. They still fell behind 3-1 after the overturned goal. Yeah. And this group might not be the most talented group in the world. They might not execute as well as they should. They turn the puck over a little too much. They're void of secondary scoring, but they fight, and they definitely are a team that is never quits and can come from behind, and they can actually hold a lead, which is not like Islander teams in the past. So you look at this through three games, the Panthers have played well. They've been really good, and especially Bukestad, Riley Smith, who looks like, I don't know, Steve Larmer. I don't know, seriously, I don't know. Yeah. Where did this come from? He's always a good player, but it's his coming out party. Yeah. I saw last night that the Huberdeau, Bukestad, Barkov, and Smith had 28 of the team's 39 shots, and that's something that's going to have to change for the Panthers moving forward. They obviously need a little more balance. But what I've been, beating on the drum for months now is, Jack Capuano, Islander head coach Jack Capuano's love affair with experience over talent. When talent's better, you have to play it. And look what Ryan Pulock's done for this team. He's changed the dynamic of the power play, and through 3 games, Hickey and Pulock the two I was concerned about have been the Islanders' best defensemen, and their top four really need to pick their game up if they want to win this series.
Well, I mean, first of all, Luongo, I don't hold him responsible for the loss last night. I thought he played
No,
well.
but he was a little deep on some of those goals again.
Yeah, but he played well in Game 2, and I don't think he was responsible in Game 3. I mean, first of all, you get up 2-0, almost get up 3-0 with the Ekblad goal, and then that's negated, and then they come right back, get a goal to make it 2-1, and Florida bounces right back. That is a game that you sort of have to win. And Florida, I guess showed they do have experienced players, but they showed their overall youth and inexperience by not holding on to that lead. That being said, honestly, other players have to step up other than Riley Smith. I mean,
right.
You need the Hoodlers and the Purcells and some of those second, third line guys who were brought in as support players to contribute. You can't depend solely on Barkov, Huberdeau, and Jágr to provide all the offense, and Riley Smith, who's I think at 8 points in 3 games. So Florida right now needs more contribution throughout the lineup. The Islanders right now, I mean, I think they should be ecstatic because they're getting great play out of Thomas Greiss. I did not expect that. I thought he was going to be the chink in their armor, and so far he hasn't let them down.
I'll tell you, the play where Boychuk's stick blew up and it went right on Hoodler's stick and he missed the net, that is a play that should haunt Yuri Hoodler for a long time because that should have been a goal and it wasn't, and I think the Islanders got a great break there. The Pulock shot was funny because I immediately went to Twitter and said, boy, 100-mile-an-hour slap shot. Boy, what an idea to put him in the lineup. Like, it just seemed nonsensical why he wasn't in the lineup all this time.
Yeah.
And then when you see him do that, you're like, I don't get it. And I still don't get it, but smart that he's in there.
Well,
so
it's like Rocky. It's like the movie Rocky, where he's not using his left hand, and he's like, and he's holding back. Don't use your left. Don't use your left. And then he goes to his left, and that's what the Islanders are doing.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're doing with that. Hickey's won a lot of big games. It's funny. He originally was tabbed as a very offensive defenseman, and then he had a bunch of shoulder injuries, and then LA got impatient with him. They trade him. The Islanders resurrect his career to a degree, at least make him an NHLer. And, he won a World Juniors with a goal. He's won Islander games with big goals, and now this is the biggest one that he's ever had. And it's fun to see it because hockey players endure. If you just give them a little bit of reason to keep going, they'll do it. And this is a guy that really has really done that, and probably hasn't been written about him, honestly.
Yeah. No, I agree. If only we knew an Islanders writer who could write more about him.
And the crowd was rocking last night. That was a nice. That was definitely
so true. And I mean, I was at.
I think we can shut up about Brooklyn now.
Oh no question. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, and Islanders fans in general. I mean, it doesn't matter where you put them, right? Because the Islanders fans are. This is what I noticed when I went to the one year that what's his name was traded there. At the end, Ryan Smith, and they made the playoffs, right? And they played They played the first round against the Buffalo Sabres, and I was at the game 1 where they should have won. That there was a weird call, and at that game, it was the first time there had been a playoff game in the Island for a long time, and I wrote about just how much you realize that this is an old school hockey fan base. This is not. They just haven't been around. They haven't had anything to cheer about, and now you put them into a situation like this, and yeah, I mean they are really loud, and that I love the way they were. I was watching it on Hockey Night in Canada, and they were pumping the crowd up really loud. It was great, and that's such a great environment. I mean, it would be phenomenal to see a Rangers Islanders series. That would just be something else. It would have to, of course, happen in the conference finals, but it would be something else. Let's move on now to the Rangers, though. One quick thing, interesting stat I read about that series, because we were talking about Riley Smith, and he is the first Panther in history, in their history. They haven't played in the playoffs that often, of course, to record 3 consecutive multi-point games in the postseason. In a single postseason. So it's something else. I mean, Riley, you're right. He has looked phenomenal. He is definitely a great player, and it depends on how he's played, I think.
He was an offensive force in college. He was a high draft pick.
Yeah.
And he kept getting dealt. And I don't think he ever fully got comfortable in each place. He's there for like 2 years. They had coaching changes, and I think it just took him a while to find his way. And the attributes that he always had as a player, being fast, having good hands, they never went away, right? That never changed. Right. And it just now he's in the right environment.
Right. No, you're absolutely right.
And just one more final note, too, is John Tavares is playing like a man possessed. He's playing some of the best hockey I've ever seen, and the creativity of Franz Nielsen has taken that line to a phenomenal level right now.
So maybe Islander fans will lay off Tavares now. Is that possible? I don't even know if that's possible.
Oh no, I think I'm harder on Tavares than the fan base is.
Yeah, no, I think the fan base has been pretty tough too, but I agree with Russ. But at the same time, I mean, that's from an outsider perspective. You would know better than me, but from the outside perspective, this feels like the first time, like I said, that feels like Tavares is showing that the Islanders fans realize that they've got themselves a first overall genuine superstar. Like this is.
No, I think they know they have that.
Yeah. Well, this is definitely what they have, and it's been fun to watch. So let's go to the other. I mean, the Rangers Penguins series, full of drama, all up and down. Matt Murray skating today with the Penguins. There's all kinds of stuff.
Marc-Andre Fleury skated before the first 2 games. I think right now Mike Sullivan is the king of sort of the pre-game BS in terms of like who's going to play and who's not.
Well, the Rangers are doing it too, though. Ryan McDonough is on the ice, so
right. It's
in a regular contact practice.
The only thing, though, is usually if McDonough is out there, he usually plays. He doesn't usually do the deception thing, but it's fine. They all do it this time of year.
They did call up Rafael Diaz today as well. The Rangers did. So there's a lot of questioning as to which way. And I think this is just good old-fashioned gamesmanship. A lot of it, or it comes off as gamesmanship when it's really just housekeeping. It's hard to say what they're doing.
Vigneault said today after the practice that McDonough was doubtful for Game 3, but he also said stranger things have happened. So they're both sides are playing.
Well, when you're up 2-1, there's no real if
you're not going to put them in.
Right. Depends on where you are. It depends on where they get after Game 3. I think that's what's going to happen. If they get up,
The Penguins are the ones who are in a spot because. Eck, I remember you sort of defended Zakhoff, and look, I like Jeff Zakhoff. I covered him in the East Regionals in college, but he sort of, to me, lost his way a little bit. He stayed in the NHL, so I give him credit for that.
Yeah. And I know actually, believe it or not, yeah. I mean, I was not defending him. I thought that I was surprised that, in Game 1 he was getting a lot of praise, and I felt bad for the fact that I was going after because he did play well enough to win, but
no, but you
looked very uncomfortable to me.
Yeah, what I was trying to get at was you defended him when I said the Rangers had these veteran scorers that can exploit them, and I think you didn't think that was going to happen at the beginning, and we saw that last game. That's what they did. Like guys like Zuccarello could just sniff out that he's just a little bit uncomfortable in net, and they're getting their goals now, and so this isn't like a big resurgence by the Rangers as much as it is they're facing a semi-lousy goalie. I mean that's really what we're looking at here. I'm not diminishing what they've done, but it's the biggest reason that there's been a turnaround in the series. It's probably the only reason there's been a real turnaround in the series. Now, we'll see. I mean, if Pittsburgh can get Marc-Andre Fleury in there, then I think we'll see things tighten up a lot. And then Malkin's supposed to play, right?
He played in Game 2. So I think regardless, if you look at the matchups, regardless of what's going on with the Penguins and who's up front for their forwards, if you have Henrik Lundqvist against a marginal NHL backup, you take your chances with the Rangers. You like the Rangers.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. I mean, it really is.
The bottom line.
And the Penguins are now. I mean, it's weird because Malkin comes back and everybody's oh man, they play better without Malkin, and it's just absolutely completely absurd.
It is. That's absurd.
But at the same time, I think what's happening, and even before Malkin came back, you can see the Penguins, role that they were on coming to a slight deceleration. There's the Rangers have brought them into focus a little bit more, where they have to play like we talked about. You're going to have to play defense in the playoffs. You're going to have to do certain things in the playoffs, and the Rangers are not biting on what the Penguins are selling. Like other teams like the Flyers and Islanders bit down hard on what they were selling down the stretch. The Rangers are way more mature than that, and they have way more playoff experience. So you're seeing that.
Well, ironically, the Rangers, I thought played a better defensive game without Dan Girardi on the blue line.
Of course they did. Look at the analytics there.
Dan, don't throw the analytics out because I don't particularly rate them as highly as. I mean, right now, Dan Girardi has been a disaster for the second half of the season. He's losing
almost the whole season, to be honest. Really,
right.
I mean,
I was trying to be kind, but basically. They bring in Dylan McElrath and Brady Shea's playing. So I mean, maybe the call of Diaz means they want to get somebody with a little more experience in there than having two of these younger guys in there. But also the Rangers forwards. I mean, they exposed the Penguins' defense a little bit. They drove to the net a lot more than they did in Game 1. And I have to say, Russ. It would be nice. You could reasonably expect the Rangers to win this series if $15 million worth of salary in Rick Nash and Eric Stahl would show up.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing, and it's funny. I was pretty sure Malcolm was back last game, but I couldn't know for sure because I'm watching the game with no sound. So that's. Right. I'm glad you guys backed me up on and said he was in there because I didn't notice him. I noticed Kessel a lot, but you're right. I mean, if Stahl and Nash just did something, and Eric Stahl, not Mark. It would be incredible, but these guys, it's just...
Are we surprised? Seriously, should we be surprised by this?
No,
I think we should be more surprised if they do something.
Yeah, we're not surprised. It's just, there's always the hope factor where you say, all right, maybe something will click and maybe it'll happen. You hate maligning guys every year saying these guys never do well in the playoffs, and they never do well in the play. Eric Stahl has done well in the playoffs, but the problem is, and I remember we talked about this when he got traded, that was 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. This is a different Eric Stahl now.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. So now we're getting into the part of the show that I call How Eck is Right in So Many Ways. All right, so
where are we going? We're going somewhere in California.
You 3 series. Where do you want to go?
We're going somewhere in California. Go ahead. Go ahead. I know you're dying to go. You're dying to go to San Jose.
You're not right about the Philly series. I know we can't be talking Philly.
No, well, the Philly series is nothing stops. Nothing is serious until you lose at home. I'm a big believer in that. So we'll see what happens tonight.
I agree.
But it does matter when you lose at home twice. I'm going to start in Anaheim actually. So and both of these series, with both these teams, this Predators team. I mean, at some point, some credit has to be given to Peter Laviolette as a pretty darn good playoff coach.
I mean, we always give Laviolette credit. I mean, he is a great coach. Nobody would ever say he's not.
Yeah, I mean, in the playoffs especially. I mean, when you think about what he has done, this is. I mean, Boudreau last night. That was a defeated-looking Bruce Boudreau. I mean, that was.
Yes, it was.
I mean, he looked red. Like he comes in and he's all calm, and you realize, having seen him before, like we've seen him, and. He was just out of the locker room. You realize he was probably not so calm like 30 seconds before he hit the podium. And you bet he was screaming his ass off in the locker room at these guys. And he comes out all still red, and he's like, yeah, well, it was a tough game. We played well. I don't know about
the ironic thing is that Nashville is up 2-0, and Pekka Rinne really hasn't played great. He's played well. But he has not played great. He hasn't stood on his head, and that's not the reason why Nashville is up 2-0. They're getting scoring from guys like Craig Smith. Their defense is jumping into the offensive attack, and Anaheim is again not showing up when they really need to. And that second half where they were unbeatable, they lost 5 games from December till the end of the year. Where is that team? Because right now they look tight. They look like they're, right now they just look very unprepared, and that's shocking the way that they played the second half of the year.
Yeah, I think they put a lot of pressure on Gibson. I hate to say that because he's had a really good year, but he's still a young guy, and so I think that's part of their problem. But the other part of the problem is when that offense goes dead, it goes dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they've had dead spots during the year, and they're back now during another dead spot. Now, I thought Raquel made a horrible play last night that led to a goal. Maybe you take him out of the lineup because you got to strengthen up.
You can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, you got to strengthen up the forward defense. I mean, there's
Raquel's one of the reasons you're in the playoffs.
I know, but he's not scoring this moment, right? I mean, you have to shake it up a little.
It's been 2 games.
Well, Russell, to me, this is the worst kind of team they can play against because they're playing. The one thing I talked about the Ducks before the series is that they are a team that gets frustrated, and when they get frustrated. I mean, they can be either really great or when they get frustrated, they can look like they're never going to score a goal again, And they have this is where they're at right now. They're a frustrated team, and they're playing against the Predators team that is so sound defensively that it's hard to play against. This reminds me a lot of when when the Flyers or Rangers or used to play against the Devils back in the day, where it's like you're playing against a team that That's how the Devils beat you. They would have the weird goals from odd players, but they would be so solid defensively that no matter how much the more you tried to push, the more mistakes you ended up making, the more you ended up being in trouble.
Well, the Ducks score a lot of ugly, greasy, hard-working, blue-collar goals, and when they're not going right, they're not getting to the net. And right now, through 2 games, they have not made Pecorine work very hard.
And it's tough to put in those blue-collar goals when you're going up against a defense that has Roman Josi and Shea Weber, defending the crease.
And Matthijs Ekholm.
Yeah,
but here's the thing. So you guys mentioned those 3 guys, and I think Ryan Ellis has played maybe the second best of anybody in that series for any of their defensemen because while he may not play the brand of defense that everybody says is Nashville Predators defense, he's playing the brand of offense that Peter Laviolette loves, and he's making tremendous passes. He's showing his skating ability and showing why that it was smart that Nashville had hung on to him all these years because he's still a young guy.
You're dead on, Russ. Because here's the thing about Ellison. I've heard his name's come up in rumors a lot over the years, and every time they come up and I go and I've gone to check it out, I get the same thing back. Since Laviolette's been there, I've gotten the same thing back. Laviolette loves him. He will never trade Ryan Ellis. He's the player they will not move, no matter what. They'll move Ekholm. They could even move, as we saw, Jones, but they will not move Ellis. And that's the bottom line. You're right. He's dead on. He's
well. I mean, the days of them trading any more defensemen are over with because really they've got the players that they have right now. They really don't have a great prospect defenseman down in Milwaukee, and I don't know about in their chain right now. They have Petter Granberg and Anthony Boteto are their 6 and 7. So
yeah, I don't think they're going to. This is Boyle. He'll find 4 defensemen in the next 2 drafts.
The one thing that's interesting with Anaheim, and we've talked about this about Boudreau and his goaltending management. If he's healthy, here's a chance that Boudreau puts in Frederik Andersen in Game 3 going back to Nashville. And maybe that's a mistake going away from Gibson, but he's got to do something, and that might be what he does.
Sure.
Actually,
I mean,
they do have a great defenseman. We have Jeff Keelty on our show at least twice a year. He's the director of scouting from Nashville, and they do a great job. They have a great staff. Jack Dougherty's a heck of a U.S. defenseman. I've watched him for the last.
Oh, I forgot he was a Predator.
So he is their next guy that at some point, but they're not going to rush him. Like he's not ready yet. Right. If I'm Anaheim, I can't panic because we've seen teams lose even 2 at home and come back. You gotta do the cliche thing and worry about the next game, but they do need a little bit of a shakeup. I do feel like they're playing robotic, and I do feel like they're out of sync. And I know Raquel may have gotten them there, but they got to put in one different player that can spark them. It's sad that they need a spark, but they do.
They do.
But I'm shocked that Nashville's up 2-0 without Jimmy Vesey.
Yeah, he would just have screwed things up there. Then the other way, I'm right. Let's go go down a little bit further.
Here we go.
Up
a little bit further. Sorry, up the 405 there to LA, San Jose. I mean, the Sharks are now. Granted, I don't think anyone's going to count the Kings out until the Sharks win their 4th game.
If there's a team that can blow a 2-0 or a 3-0 lead, we know it's the San Jose Sharks.
That was not this coach, and that was not these Sharks.
I don't care until they prove it. They are the same team.
No, but we have to give the Sharks credit. I am seeing a grittier, uglier Joe Thornton in every way, and
it's not just the beard.
Right, but he is playing well, and Pavelski has gotten from star status to superstar status. He has. It's just that he's in San Jose, and nobody really wants to ever say it. But he's been a heck of a player for 2-3 years now, and I think he's elevated it to that point. Logan Couture has always been one of the best younger players in the league, and he still is. All those things are going well. The goaltending's going well. LA, for whatever reason, and look, that quick goal was ridiculous. He was in the face-off circle on his follow-through. Like, that was a gimme. You won't get another one of those probably in the series. But Lucic is hitting people, but he's not, playing his offensive game. Jeff Carter started hitting people. Everybody started hitting people last game, and it seems like they got away from their game because they wanted to sort of bring it to the Sharks. Right. And then when they didn't bring it to the Sharks took care of them. I think LA just needs to get back to their game, and I think Quick just needs to tone it down a little bit because I think he's a little overly aggressive right now.
And remember, San Jose had one of the best road records in the NHL, and I think they were about 500 at home. So, talking about a turnaround. But the funny thing is, they go up early in that game in Game 2, and only around like the 5-minute mark of the second period did the Kings really start turning around and started leveling the Sharks. Now the Sharks have been able to stand up to the onslaught of the Kings. But if they get rolling, and you have Lucic and Kopitar and Carter, and then the fourth line guys like King and Nolan slamming the Sharks forwards, it may not pay off now, but it may pay off in games 5, 6, and 7 when they're a little
There's
more.
one mistake the Kings are making too, and I don't know if this is. I guess this is Sutter's game plan, because I guess he wanted to slow down the Sharks' defense a little bit, but they've got Kopitar in way too of a defensive role. He can't be worried about playing defense first. He is a good defensive player, and he could win a Selke one year, but I don't want to waste all that offense on having him play such good defense. Like they got to loosen it up for him a little bit.
There's always, it seems like, a harness on Kopitar, but right now it seems to be more than even usual. Like they've turned him into a third-line forward.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, and the lack of of Justin Williams, I think, is playing into it too. I mean, that will play into this. I mean, I know. It's hard. It might be funny because he's not a big time scorer or something like that. But there have been times when the Kings have lost their way and their composure, and that's where Williams, and you've even seen it in the Washington series what Williams does. Like where he does calm things down when a team is running around, or a team's losing focus. So. Well, I mean, and yeah, the bottom line is Jones is outplaying Quick right now, and that's.
Well, I don't know if he's outplaying him, Mac. I think that right now the Kings are not getting as many offensive chances, and he really hasn't had to step up as much as Quick. Quick is, I think, it faced more opportunities, more good scoring chances than Jones has. The one thing that I think is a concern for the Kings is Alec Martinez left in the middle of Game 1. He didn't play in Game 2, and now you're going to have Doughty playing 30 minutes, Muzzin probably playing 25, and the rest of that defensive core is Luke Shen, Jamie McBain, Braden McNabb. It's not a great defense.
It's not good enough.
Yeah, it's not good enough, and they need Martinez to come back. If he doesn't come back, then they're probably going to have to play Doughty way more than they want to, and the San Jose forwards are probably going to lay a hurting on him for a couple games.
No, I'd agree with that. And then the third way I'm right, of course, is that Chicago is losing to St. Louis.
Whatever, please.
Should be up 3-0.
That is the closest margins, though.
Go ahead, please do it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Russ.
That is the closest of margins. That's just you're really splitting hairs in that series. You are. And
no question. I mean, and we knew that was going to be the case going in. I mean, I don't know if you saw the quote from Crawford on the Blues. He said, "Whatever's happened in the years before, they are not that team." So he's really giving them some credit, which is nice to see.
But what do you expect Corey Crawford to say? No, they're the same choke team that we know we've always played against. Of course, he's not going to say that. He's going to give them props because they're up in the series, and if you denigrate them, you're denigrating yourself. So of course he's going to say that. But
usually when asked this question, people will say almost nothing. Though I mean, he actually did say something here. He didn't have to say that. He could have easily said, "Well, that's not the same team" or whatever. But when you watch it, it doesn't come necessarily from the quote. It doesn't come out as well. We actually watch him say it, where you do realize that there is much more respect for the Blues than I think I've seen before.
We got to give the Blues credit. Their power play's working a lot better. They got Patrick Kane off his game. That double minor really hurt Chicago. The big time Chicago guys aren't really doing it from game to game. But again, this is like one of those series where every game is different. Every game is complete. Like there's no game plan that's going to work for the entire series in this series. There's no way.
No, right. I totally agree with that.
And just like in the Panthers Islanders series, the series could have changed on a replay. That Laterra goal, or that ended up being a no goal in Game 2. I mean, and then Shaw coming back a few minutes later and putting the Hawks in the lead. I mean, it was a turning point. They would be up 3-0 if Laterra's goal.
Let's ask this question because I think it does need to be asked because a lot of fans are frustrated and even some media people are frustrated. The offsides goals, do they really all need to be reviewed, or should we just be reviewing goaltender interference? That's the question.
Thank you, Russ. I mean, I am complete. I sat down after watching that Blues game, where the questionable goaltending interference goal is allowed to stand. The offside, which has nothing to do with the goal, is taken back.
Right.
And then you get to yourself and you have to ask yourself, okay, what is this offsides rule? Like, either we have to re-examine the rule itself, or we have to just stop looking at replays of offsides, because these offsides are in our mind. This is what's bothering me. There's a certain memory part to our head when we watch hockey, and you watch hockey, you're like, he was offsides. You just see it right away. You just as you're watching it as a person who's watched hockey for years, you say, oh, that was offsides. When someone is later determined to be offsides, but you're in your head, you're like, he was close to offsides, but he wasn't offsides, or because his skate lifted up, we don't know. I mean, the whole skate lifting up concept, he's still onside. And I know the skate lifting up comes from an era, and then Paul Stewart wrote about this too. Comes from an era when that was the easiest way for a ref or linesman to determine what was going on, because the lineman would sit there and say, okay, when the skate comes up, he's offsides. That way I can tell, because that's the stride of the skate. But in instant replay, why that still is the reason? I mean, in actuality, he's not over the line.
Because that's the letter of the law. I mean, it's
right. But the problem is we are dictating something that we need to have another. This has to be reevaluated. I think it will be, actually.
They may change it to the plane, like in an NFL touchdown. But the thing is, and it's funny, over the weekend, Jay McKee, former Sabre, posted a picture of Brett Hull standing in the crease. This was on Sunday. Yeah. Brett Hull standing in the crease with Dominic Hasek sprawled out from 1999. And I retweeted it and said memories, because of course I like to get under the skin of Sabres fans. But the funny thing is, you can have this situation, and somebody wrote this today. So you could have this situation equal to that Brett Hull scenario this year with this replay, and even worse, if a team uses the replay for something, like say before, and they get it, and it's turned down, and then there's a call that is so ridiculous, and they don't have their timeout. That is going to be even worse than a missed call.
You know what? Go ahead, Russ.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's like, imagine if you had a camera on David Copperfield's hands. Like, he would no longer be a magician, right?
Right.
Because he'd be out of work.
Right.
And so, like, this is what they're doing now, is they're sort of exposing players who are really not really doing anything that's really out of line as far as getting the edge or making a play. But now it's just you're going with the most minute rule, and it's killing the game as far as the momentum and just watching it.
Yeah, I mean, how go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Now, how long did it take for them to determine the goal, the Shaw goal? I think it was 6 or 7 minutes.
Yeah, it was 6 minutes.
See, that's where I wanted to jump in, because I think it needs to be instant. If you have the Cyclops technology in tennis, you have goal line technology in soccer, where it happens while the play's still going on. So, boom, it's offsides by a second. A whistle stops automatically, or something comes up to say, hey, the lasers or whatever are in the boards went off, and we can stop right away before anything happens, before there's a scoring chance, before there's a goal. It can just be instant, done with, and we drop the puck.
Yeah, the Islanders. One of the Islanders beat reporters yesterday said, Thomas Hickey got. I guess they use a leather jacket as the thing for player of the game. They were debating whether to give it to the video coach, because he was the one who spotted Ekblad.
And I know Mac quite well. I was good friends with him when he was in Bridgeport, and that was he got it right.
Yeah,
he nailed it. I mean, the interesting thing to me, and I thought about this. I was touching this with somebody who's more of a football fan and then a hockey fan, and he said, if that's the case, then if a player gets whistled for being offsides and he doesn't think he's offsides, he should just go in and take the shot, and then they should review it the other way, like they would in football. Like in football, like if a ball hits the ground or whatever, you'll see guys run it out because they know the instant replay could determine that it never hit the ground.
That's
so we only have the offsides happening one way when you think about it. We only have it happening, that if they don't call it. So that's also strange. That's also incongruous with everything that's happening. Really, when you think about it, if someone feels like they're onside, they should. But once the whistle blows, right? But in football, it doesn't. So there's a bunch of it's very strange. I think that we're forgetting this. I think we need to get down to the spirit of the rules, and what is offsides really, which is it's a non-cherry picking rule, right? That's what it is.
I think it's very similar to what they did in baseball with instant replay, and then you have these coaches basically reviewing plays at second base where the guy's cleats coming off the base by like that much. That wasn't what the rule was designed for, and it just fell into a loophole, kind of like this is right here. And I'll be honest with you, it helped the Islanders last night, but it sucks.
No, it sucks, and it's gonna be like it reminds me of like that horrible, like as a fan of the sport and wanting the sport to grow. What last year during 2 years ago when I'm watching the overtime, Kings-Rangers overtime, where the Kings Martinez eventually scores, I kept thinking there was a shot that I thought might have been in, never beforehand, and we got this question, because at that time there wasn't a rule that you could actually stop the play if it was determined to be in. You would just let it go, and I thought the Kings are going to score here, and then it's going to be overturned, and they're not going to have won the Stanley Cup because that goal went in. And you can see where this is going to come down to like an overtime goal like that, and we're going to wait for 7 minutes while we look to see if it's. There should be a spirit of like, he made an attempt to stay on sides. It's perfectly close enough. It didn't affect the play that his skate lifted then. It was
the neighborhood play.
It was within reason. We're talking about something within reason. Like, we need to get to that point.
But again, it's the letter of the law.
But the letter of the law is stupid in this case.
If it's the plane and the guys, I mean, if it's the plane of the blue line, then Laterra is onside. If you want to encourage any kind of additional offense or more goals in this league, then you change that rule. I mean, honestly, I don't want the video review of the offsides, period. But if you're gonna have this video review, then you're gonna have to change it to something that's a little more.
Funny thing, all right? How many games as fans, when we were all fans, and even when we look at Twitter, how many games do fans complain that was offsides? It shouldn't be a goal. Like once a year it used to be.
Yeah,
it wasn't much.
That's what really is disappointing about this.
Now, let me just because we're not going to talk about this series other than because Dallas is manhandling the Minnesota right now. But Tyler Seguin will not play in Game 3. He was sent back to Dallas. Again, I don't understand why they rush him back in Game 2. You're dominating the series. He had they say it's not Achilles related, but it's very strange that he plays Game 2 and then all of a sudden he's being sent back to Dallas. So I think they rushed him. And
they should have kept him on ice for a while.
Kept him on ice, exactly.
No, I agree completely. Yeah, I mean, so let's get into
the other series that you're right about.
The other series I'm right about, which is
the Flyers series.
No, let's talk about the Flyers series, where I'm not right. No, I mean, let's talk about the Flyers series, though. It's been an interesting series, and
it has.
It is. The Flyers have, and I told somebody this the other day. I said every time you see a young Flyers defenseman make a mistake, tell yourself, Provorov won't do that. I said that's how you have to watch this, And every time, it's like they're obviously overmatched. Couturier's loss is huge. Tonight will be fascinating because of the whole motion of the arena. It'll be a really good, and I'll be down there, and it'll be unique. And I think that the fact that the Flyers have outplayed the Flyers have shown cracks in the Caps' armor. Put it that way. They might not win the series, but they've shown some teams how to beat the Caps to a degree, because the Caps are, especially in the first period, they don't show up. I mean, and this has been true all year with them.
But Holtby shows up.
Holtby shows up, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm still baffled by the fact that the Flyers refuse to change their first power play unit around. I just think that if they don't change it around in this game, I'll be completely confused. I mean, you can say what you want to say about that Mason goal. Mason's not healthy.
Yeah, I mean, look, it happens to anybody.
Right, it can happen to anybody.
It happens to so many goalies. You can't, I'm kind of sickened that so many media outlets put that on, the front page or the head of the news or the head. I'm kind of sickened by that, because if this wasn't even the playoffs, nobody would even be showing it. It would be like, oh, let's put it on the laugh track for a minute and be over. It's like
people love a good blooper, And
I was watching the NBC Sports intermission before that goal even happened, and Boucher was getting on Mason for not getting over in time to stop that Ovechkin one-timer. I'm like, at that point, I looked at the TV, I grabbed the remote, and I changed channel, because that's ridiculous. Yeah. How many goalies, how many Hall of Fame goalies has Ovechkin beat with that same shot?
Right.
And Mason's probably looking at something in the offseason. We're going to read about Mason's surgeries or whatever after the year's.
Oh, it's coming. Yeah, he's definitely not playing healthy. But still, I mean, that goal was ridiculous.
He made an unbelievable save seconds before that stupid goal. And that's the thing. I mean, the reality of it is, it's going to happen. It's happened to every goal.
Here's the thing. I mean, it seems like, again, very few people are talking about it. The Flyers are not a big team. The Caps defense is big and heavy. They are punishing the Flyers forwards. They're punishing them, and they're punishing Gostisbehere too. And Gostisbehere has pretty much admitted he has not faced this kind of assault really in his NHL career. And it's at the end of the season, too, which is tough for him because he's never played this many games. Right. All of these things are really affecting the Flyers' complete game. And you're right. They do need to make some sort of adjustments. They do. Just being home, just having the Ed Snyder factor isn't enough because when St. Louis had things going on, he was in the locker room. He was a guy on the team. It's different. Everybody does want to win for Ed Snyder, but it's not enough to overcome a team that's more talented. You got to have a better game plan.
Well, no, yeah, you have to, and it brings up the question. I mean, do you go to Neuwirth here now? Not because of the Mason goal, and I brought it up the other day, and someone jumped up and I can't do it because it's just the one goal. I'm like, no, it's not the Mason goal. I'm talking about his general health and generally the idea of the fact that you're down 2-0, and Neuwirth was as good as Mason when they were healthy this year in the regular season.
I wouldn't kill him if he did it. If Neuwirth is really 100%, if he's not, then you can't.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
In spite of that goal, this is not on Mason. This is on the fact that this team is beat up over 2 months. Giroux's not 100%. Voracek's not 100%. Neither is Mason. They, maybe the mindset sets in if they win one game in Philadelphia in games 3 and 4 that we accomplished something. We got into the playoffs when nobody expected us to. But Washington is just a better team, a deeper team, a stronger team, a bigger team. It's tough to overcome those things.
Here's the one thing about Neuwirth. There is always that revenge factor. You play against a team that gave up on you, and you never know what that could do. I will tell you guys a funny thing, though. Every night at the Ralph Engelstad, when they were doing an update, a sports update, like we see the sports updates at the Wells Fargo, and probably every arena does those now, they would always show a quick Flyers clip, and it's Dave Haxtell's Flyers, and I'm thinking, why are you still talking about this guy? You won a national championship with the other guy. Stop.
I wish it was Dave Haxtell too, because then they wouldn't have beaten Quinnipiac.
No, I mean, you're obviously there's no question they're Flyers fans in that building, right? I mean, that's who they're rooting for, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's just crazy though. It's a little crazy that they still they're hung up now on Haxtell. They're going to probably talk about him for the next 2 years.
He was a legend there for quite a while, so
I know.
Let's talk about that goon-ridden series between the bullies from Detroit and the Tampa Bay Lightning. My goodness, Russ, just an abdicator with about 4 right haymakers to the grill of Blunden and then last night there was some physicality in that game. They bring in Mrazek in Game 3 after Howard, I thought, played terribly in the first 2 games. I don't know if Detroit's back in the series, but I mean, they did show some life there.
I covered Abdicator in college, and he did, have a physical game to him, but I never saw this side of him, and I never thought he had this side to him. And so I think it's just desperation out of the Red Wings. Like, they knew they were just being outclassed in every other way, so they figured, let's go back to like 70s Red Wings and let's try and beat them that way, and literally try and beat them. And so I think that's what they've gone to. I think they've got Tampa now off their game to the point where John Cooper's got the worst mustache I've ever seen on a coach in pro sports. He's completely off his game.
Like I said, he's planning a disguise for the summer when everybody blames him for Steven Stamkos leaving. So that there you go. I mean, that's what it is. But the funny thing, I know that Datsuk got his tooth knocked out by Victor Hedman, and apparently today Strawman's for the Lightning. Now, it was not it was sort of a secondary bone in his leg that was broken, not a main weight-bearing bone. So maybe he gets back, but it would be surprising if he gets back this early, especially with them having an advantage in the series. Don't make the same mistake that Lindy Ruff did in Dallas. Keep him out until you absolutely need him.
I still think Tampa will come out of this, but I think Cooper calling out his team was the right thing to do. Yeah. I think it was just Detroit. This is just it. This is like pride. This is like the Red Wings weren't going to go out that way. That's what you're seeing right now. And I think Tampa just needs to put in that next gear because they are bigger, they are more talented, they have the better goalie. They just need to sort of regroup, and I think they will. And maybe Detroit wins one more game, but I'm not even sure they will.
Watching this, I do get a sense that whoever wins the Islanders Flyers series is going to win that next series. It just feels like they're playing for 2 rounds here.
It does seem that way.
This is Calgary, Vancouver from last year. Whoever won the series was going to be a sacrificial lamb. And
I'm not ready to say that yet. With especially if it's Tampa with Bishop in net and Kucherov, they still have. They still have plenty of talent.
I do, and I've been saying that
because Bishop can steal series. I believe.
I agree.
No, I agree with that, and I've been saying all that. I mean, Anathasiu, who I can barely say his name, but Anathasiu is phenomenal. He's a phenomenal player too. I mean,
he needs more ice. He needs more ice.
Play more, and he's really showing some.
Put him on the fourth line for a long time. He does have tremendous wheels. He always had tremendous wheels. He's always had a great shot. The problem with him is he was just a little bit weak, and he was a little weak defensively. And this is definitely, I saw him really sort of reach his zenith against the Flyers. He had this wraparound goal a couple weeks ago, and I was like, wow, that's what I used to see in junior. And so now he's brought it to the NHL, and that's a big deal. And you're right, that could really help him, but they're gonna have to play him with top 6 talent if they want to get all of that out of him. You're gonna put him in for a fourth line. You might get a goal every couple games, every 3 games, but that's all you're gonna get.
He needs more vowels in his name.
Yeah.
But one thing you can see in this series, the age catching up to Datsuk and Zetterberg. I mean, to me, I think that they're shadows of their former selves. I mean, Datsuk, I don't care what they did in Game 3, but in the first 2 games in Tampa, I thought they were completely out to lunch. I thought that they were, they're really struggling, and maybe it's just the fact that Tampa is, got some size and has a lot of speed, but, Detroit better be on the lookout in terms of upgrading their roster in the next couple of years, because I don't think you can depend solely on. Obviously Datsuk's leaving for the KHL, but Zetterberg I don't think can be a centerpiece player much longer for the Red Wings.
No.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, let's do the NHL Draft Lottery Simulator.
I'm the only one. No one cares anymore.
I'm sorry, I was typing it in at the same time, so I.
No, but I mean the other two.
I'm gonna say Winnipeg.
Heads. I mean, come on.
Winnipeg, Vancouver, Toronto. That's what I'm going with today.
All right.
Winnipeg, Vancouver, Toronto. All right, here we go. All right, the winner is. I gotta push this up here first. Maybe put that up there. So much pressure. Here we go. The winner is today the Arizona Coyotes. Austin Matthews is going home.
They're going to trade that pick. I tell you, they're going to trade that pick.
Yeah, right.
What, if they don't get the first overall pick?
No, if they get the first, they're going to trade.
No, he's being...
There's no way they would do that.
He's kidding.
Of course. That's why he's saying it.
Followed by Edmonton.
That is the crappiest top 3 that there could possibly be. My God.
There you go.
That is hidden.
Toronto, who I talk about today in my blog. Check that out, guys, if you get a chance. I got into that today.
Yes, well, no.
And I'm sure you have issues with it, but I'm my own person. I write my own opinions based on the people I talk to.
Yes.
So and that's where I'm at right now. So no, I'm just like
extension in the rank.
Just like no one's gonna talk for Russ the chicken. No one's gonna talk for me. There you have it. Remember, guys, without the buzz, it is just hockey. I will be down at the game tonight and tweeting and writing from there. Very emotional. Flyers Capitals game I'll be at. So definitely check that out. Really not a reason for that, but yep.
Hey, and if you got nothing else to do, MLB tonight, 9 to midnight.
There you go. Remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey. Talk to you soon.